How much do you want to bet this review will be controversial? This is my review for probably the most controversial movie in the Chucky franchise, and that is Seed of Chucky. Apparently, the original title was Son of Chucky. I remember when I was younger, I would always put this movie on right when I was done watching Bride of Chucky. Only because of the ending, and in my mind, if a movie ended with a cliffhanger, then I felt like I needed to watch the next movie, and that was me after I watched Bride of Chucky. Every time I rewatched Bride of Chucky, I would always throw this movie on because I felt like that you had to watch this movie after Bride of Chucky, but after a while, I hated this movie for a while. I thought this was one of the worst horror movies of all time, and for a while I said it was my least favorite Chucky movie. But now I enjoyed this movie. I hated this movie. I was one of many people who hated this movie. I was one of them for a very long time. I thought it was too goofy. I thought it wasn't as serious. But like I said with my Bride of Chucky review, I think the comedy works for me, and I just like the more silly aspect of not Bride of Chucky, but of the Chucky franchise. I think that's just what it works better for me, and I enjoyed this movie for what it is. It's definitely not the kind of movie I see myself rewatching as much, but it is a movie I do enjoy, and I think Child's Play 3 would probably be my least favorite of the main franchise. But if I were to rank all the movies, the remake would be my least favorite, but right now I think Child's Play 3 would be my least favorite of the entire franchise. Well, not the entire franchise, but of the main franchise anyways, but I would still put this to second to last because this is also just a movie I don't see myself rewatching as much, but I'll talk about that more when I get to my ranking. Let's get to my positives. My main positive, I do want to talk about Glenn/Glenda. I do like Glenn/Glenda, or let's just say Glenn so I don't have to keep saying Glenn/Glenda. So, I do think the Glenn character is really cool. I think he/she is an interesting character, where Glenn, he's a sympathetic kid who doesn't want to kill anybody. He wants to find his parents, where he thinks that since he thinks he was made in Japan, he thinks that they're martial artists and that they kill people to like protect themselves and they're assassins and all that. And he just wants to be with his parents because he believes he's not an orphan anymore, which is kind of silly. And then Glenda, she is the murdering side of Glenn. She is just like her mother. She is just like her father. She is the murdering side of Glenn/Glenda. Glenda is the murdering side of Glenn. And where Glenn, sympathetic, doesn't want to kill anyone, he doesn't want to hurt a fly, but Glenda, she will murder every single person she sees. Like when she set Joan, I think her name was, I can't remember, Joan to blaze, where she took like a candle and sprayed like hairspray and set her on fire. That's pretty gnarly, and you can just show how much of Tiffany and Chucky is in her blood. And speaking of deaths, I think the gore is outstanding in this movie. I'm surprised a lot of it did not get cut, because this is probably the goriest of the series until Curse of Chucky, which I will watch in a little bit. I think up until Curse and Cult, I think this is the goriest of the series. Like when the guy's head gets cut off, Tony Gardner, he's the new animatronic of the Chucky. Ow, I just hit my leg. Of Chucky, he does the design. He's got a producer credit on the rest of this franchise, that death is awesome. I just think a lot of the kills in this movie are awesome, like Red Man's when all of his guts go everywhere. And I think there's one more, but I can't think of it. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Pete Peters, apparently the guy who plays him, he's a big Chucky fan. Like, when that, acid comes and, burns the side of his face, and then he looks like Two-Face after that. This is, a really gory movie, and it's just awesome, and I want the series to do more of this. Hopefully, it'll be gory in Season 2, right? Probably not. Well, actually, season 1 was pretty gory. Maybe season 2 will. Well, let's thank The Walking Dead. Um, like I said at the beginning of this video, the comedy works for me. I think the comedy of this movie, it works for me. I like the silliness, but to be honest, stupid humor makes me laugh the most. Because, maybe because of my friends, they say stupid stuff and I laugh at them. They're just, to me, the stupidest things make me laugh, and the comedy in this is stupid. It makes no sense, but I love it. It makes me laugh every time I rewatch this movie. Like, it just works for me, man. I understand why a lot of people would say it doesn't work for them, that it's where Chucky is not as serious anymore, where, yeah, I can say too, but the comedy just works for me. I understand if you hate it, but I've always did enjoy it. And let's talk about Chucky's death. Chucky's death is awesome when Glenn kills him. Not Glenda, Glenn. Glenn is the one who kills Chucky. She cuts off his arms, she cuts off his legs, and then cuts off his head. That is gnarly. I was going to talk about it when I talked about the gore in this, but I wanted to talk about the gore in that when I got to Chucky's death. This is my favorite kill of this movie, and is probably my second favorite death of Chucky. If it weren't for that fan kill in Child's Play 3, this would be my favorite Chucky death. It is gnarly, it is savage, and the practical effects here is awesome. It just shows that Chucky, he can die horribly too. Now on to my mixed aspects. Now, this is a little confusing thing where like a lot of people would talk about. I think it's funny to me where it kind of works, but I don't understand it. It's a little confusing, and that is the Jennifer Tilly and the Tiffany thing, where Jennifer Tilly, she's the main character of this movie pretty much, and then Tiffany, who is voiced by Jennifer Tilly. It's kind of confusing where she voices Tiffany, where she sounds just like Jennifer Tilly, and Jennifer Tilly's in this movie. But what I don't understand is that in Bride of Chucky, Tiffany looks like Jennifer Tilly. Now, and also in this movie, like, Tiffany, she's like obsessed with Jennifer Tilly. Did she not notice that her as a human form, she did not look like Jennifer Tilly? Where it's confusing. It's funny, but it's so damn confusing. I don't understand it. Where I think it's kind of funny, and I do like how Jennifer Tilly was down to do that, but it's just so confusing. It's funny. I think it kind of works. But if it weren't for where Tiffany looks exactly like Jennifer Tilly, and if they did not sound the exact same, it probably would have worked for me. It kind of still does work for me, but it would probably be a positive. But it's just so goddamn confusing where it's kind of hard to put to words, pretty much. Now on to my negatives. Now I will say I do have a lot of negatives with this movie. There is a joke in this movie that does not work for me, and that is with Glenn, where he pisses his pants 3 times in this movie. If you count the dream of this movie, and if you count the part where he just wakes up and his pants are pissed and they're all wet, and the scene where Chucky and Tiffany just killed Tony Gardner. 3 times in this movie, and I did not like it. I did not think it was funny. Every time I rewatch this movie, I'm like, does anyone really find that funny? Like, everything else I find funny in this movie, but that just doesn't work for me, and I'm really thirsty. I've been talking so much, I need some water. Refreshing. I don't want to get on my computer. Okay, so like I said, the Piss Me Fan jokes, it doesn't really work for me that much. Redman in this movie, it doesn't work. Like, I talked about, like, how the comedy works for me. This movie's also really self-aware, like Bride of Chucky. But I don't like Redman in this movie. Yes, Redman is a rapper. I don't listen to his music. Shocker. I don't listen to his music. I probably would have if I was younger and I knew if that was a rapper. Like, if I knew he was a rapper when I was a kid, I'd probably be listening to his music, and I'd probably absolutely love him, and he'd be one of my favorite rappers of all time. But he doesn't work for me in here. He's not that really fun in this movie, and every time he's on screen, I'm like, okay, can we just get the scene over with? Come on, get it over with. Come on. And no, I'm not clapping that. I'm clapping because I want to. I've been doing this for a while now. I'll do whatever I want. It's my channel. And the limo driver in this movie, apparently, he's in love with Jennifer Tilly, and also Jennifer Tilly's kind of a whore in this movie. The limo driver, his character is pointless. He doesn't need to be in this movie. He could have just been a normal. Oh god, he could have just been a normal limo driver in this movie, and no one would care. But yeah, and also there's the scene in this movie where, like, Jennifer Tilly, she tells Redmond that she's pregnant, and she's like, well, I haven't slept with anyone else, like, and I haven't slept with my driver yet, and I think he really likes me. We see scenes where she makes out with this guy. Like, yeah, she's pretty much a whore in this movie, and the limo driver is just pretty much pointless. The only part in this movie that he has is Chucky to get a new body. Other than that, he's pretty much fucking pointless. And the Britney Spears joke, oh god, where do I even begin with the fucking Britney Spears joke? There's a scene in this movie where apparently Britney Spears, not the real one, just a normal actress, where she pulls up right in front of Chucky, and then you see on the license plate it is Britney Spears, and Chucky kills her. It's a fine kill, I guess, but I did not like that. A lot of people would probably say that, but I do like how when this movie first came out, when trailers came out, apparently she was in the trailer, and they had to put in trailers that Britney Spears was not actually in this movie. That's funny, but the Britney Spears joke in this movie does not work for me, and it could have been cut out. But I'm not going to say that you should go out and buy this movie. I'm not saying that you should skip it entirely. I'm saying you should at least give it a try and stream it. This is a movie where, yes, it is very controversial. It's probably almost everybody's least favorite Chucky movie. But at least give it one try. One try. And just stream it anywhere that you can find it. Stream it. See if the goofiness works for you. See if the comedy works for you. And if you think that works for you, go out and buy it. If not, never watch it again. But for me, I do see myself rewatching this every now and then. But it's also a movie I don't see myself putting in every single year. But I do enjoy the movie for what it is, and I say that you just go ahead and stream it. But that is all for me right now, guys. I'm going to go film other reviews. And if you guys enjoyed this review, hit the like button. And if you loved it, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you will get notified for my latest videos. But until my next review or video, take care.